So who has seen Ignite style lightning talks before? Okay, about not quite half the room. Okay, so we're talking 7 speakers, 5 minutes each, auto-advancing slides, strictly short presentations. So since we have 30 seconds between presenters, that gives us 39.5 minutes of content in the next 40 minutes. That's why we're pretty strict. It'll be interesting to see how things go. I admire the speakers who are volunteering to do this, especially the ones who volunteered for a 50-minute session and got cut to 40 and then got cut to 5. And I'm supposed to sit down.
Well, hello. My name is Víctor Fariña. I am from Coetzee Technologies, and I'm not a doctor. I'm a patient. So the information that I will give to you is very important for me too. We are a small company from Spain that from the beginning we have 2 main areas of knowledge. The first one is the ECM. We worked with Alfresco since 2006. And the other area that we are very skilled on it is the healthcare sector. In fact, we helped to create the EHS system in our country, the electronic health record system in our country. So, from these 2 main areas of knowledge, it makes sense to join efforts from the 2 of them and build a document management system for the healthcare industry. It would be something that is very approachable for a lot of customers. In the healthcare environment, there are a lot of protocols. There are a lot of devices that need to send and to receive information. It's very important that we need to communicate with encephalograms, with a lot of devices, critical devices, and we must send information from the ERP and from a lot of systems. So we must have to talk a lot of protocols, HL7, XDAs, and a lot of them. And sorry. And all of this information must be very secured, must be very guarded, because it's information that contains critical information about the patient. It has information for level 1 of security. So it's very important that the repository could guard the information. From this problem, borns the solution that we present now. The SHEDOC project is a project that borns as an innovation solution from the Galician government in Spain. The solution must meet some requirements. Basically, it must be a modular solution because the protocol changes every day and there are new devices every day that need to talk to each other. The solution must be based on a unique open source repository. That's important because the local government in Spain are very open source. So it's an important point. And the last point is that the solution must be very modular and be interoperable with a lot of different components. It must be talk to HL7, to XDA, to XDA, must incorporate a lot of components and must be very modular. I will talk about 3 components today. As you can see in the picture, there are a lot of modules in the whole solution, but I will talk about 3. The first is the electronic custody. The thing is that we need to guarantee the information from the beginning to the end is preserved. Anyone can touch the information in all the life cycle of the documents. It's very important that we protect it. We must sign the documents. We must re-sign the documentation. And we must do this for a long period of time. The second module, the second part is the interoperability. The interoperability is the thing that allows us to talk to a lot of systems. We are incorporating right now the HL7, that's a widely spread protocol in the healthcare industry in the US and in Europe, the XDA and the XDS. These 3 are the main protocols of our solutions. In fact, the XDA is the protocol chosen by the Union European to prove the cross-border across all the systems in Europe. It's a very important protocol right now. And the last module is the semantic analysis. This semantic analysis allows us to to improve the information that are in the informs of the patients. We allows us to make better reports. We make us to, for example, to search for patients with flu and were treated with a certain drug in time. I make a lot of reports and a lot of information extracted directly from the information that the doctor writes on the information of the patient. It's a model that has a lot of limitless options. It's very nice. And the benefits of the solution are implicit in the speak, because the system is a modular system. It grows very well. It allows a better access of the information, not only for the patients, for all of the actors. And finally, this is a working project. This project is working right now with some of this data, about 2 gigas of documents every day on the system, and it's a working system. Thank you very much. You can do more information.
Thanks. I take the chance to introduce myself. Heiko Robert is my name, from ECM4U, and I want to give you a short spotlight about concepts and ideas we found out in the last years in the projects to go paperless. I want to start with a quote from Werner von Braun, who is a figure in the development of rocket technology. Our 2 greatest problems are gravity and paperwork. Gravity we could have coped with. So what I want to say is, paper is not only a document stored anywhere, it's a kind of part of a process. And people are overstrained mostly in working with electronic documents. And how to make this change? ECM vendors promising solving problems in that area, but let's take a look what the real problems are, where are they coming from. So a survey last year in Germany found out that 90 to 95% of the companies are not working with ECM DMS systems in their daily job because it's too complicated for them. So we did a research for ourselves, and under the bottom line, the reason is it's not simple enough. It takes too long where to store, where to enter information, to just keep the document in the process, to get it filed in the right place for the next person and everything. You know that already. Maybe you print it out, take it in the file, and give it a colleague, or take a look in your bag. You will find paper anywhere. So this is the most used concept of working with documents and processes, which means the file folder is the case, and the file cabinet, the archive. And what we are trying in the electronic world is to mix it up. So we should respect how can we handle this in Alfresco. So we need to find out really good concepts. What I've found a very good solution as a point solution is Amazon Zocalo. So you should take a look how they manage to get a file folder going through the organization to get things done. So what we translated to Alfresco is we have created a special folder which is called a working folder, containing some rules. When you store some document types, they are not stored in that folder, rather than stored by object, like an invoice, but referenced in that folder. And you can then later assign people from that folder to do things on that. And additionally, people are not able to enter the right data in the right place, so we chose not to extend share for the master data management, rather than having our own user interface popping up in any circumstances, so we can have a queue of documents we have to work on to enter the metadata, and getting the help from the backend system, deciding on the document type. And another thing is people shouldn't tell the system where to store the document. There should be some automatic file plans deciding an invoice has to be stored in that folder, in that space, and referenced in that case, for example. So to get the data back from the master data, we tell our customers not to store too much metadata in the system rather than just referencing from your master data. So we have special controls. I discussed all the things around what is missing to really work paperless and in an article, and then I would invite to read the IX or just come to us or discuss with us how to co-work on better concepts. Another thing what is coming up is PDF attaching data. This is an upcoming standard for invoices in Germany. So we are able to automatically file, extract, and send data combined with digital paper. So it's a very good use case to handle documents in Alfresco without any interaction from the user instead of accepting the invoice or something like this. What is really missing is a user interface like paper, just annotating on the document, independent from where it's coming from. So there are solutions in the market we are looking on. We found some good ideas, and we have to finish it to get Alfresco in the way that we say, okay, let's work paperless. Thanks.
Can you hang it on my
Test. Hello. Hello.
Thanks.
Test. Yeah, perfect. A new approach to editing documents starting from share. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
So we are Mano, Swerts, and Toon Convents. We are Alfresco solution engineers at ACA IT Solutions in Belgium. That means we eat, drink, and sometimes sleep with Alfresco.
ACA IT Solutions is an Alfresco partner since 2010. At last year's summit, we proudly presented a talk on AngularJS and Alfresco, and today we'd like to talk about the problems with editing documents that are in Alfresco Share.
The problems with out-of-the-box editing Alfresco Share are plentiful. The user has to check out the document, locate the document on the disk, open and edit the document, save the document, checking the document, and finally delete the local file.
Wow, that is tedious.
Yes,
Those are just too many steps. It takes too much time, it takes too many clicks, and that while editing is one of the core features of Alfresco. I think the end users will not put up with this. And frankly, I agree with them.
Me too. It is also complex. Some users don't understand the check-in, check-out mechanism. Some users don't know where their downloaded files are located. They have to go look for them on their disk. This is really frustrating.
Yeah. And on top of that, editing is only easy for Microsoft Office documents. The online edit functionality is very user-friendly, but only works with Microsoft Office. So what about editing other types of files, like PDF documents or Photoshop files, for example?
Yes. And finally, it scatters the data. Every user that edits a document has a local copy on disk. They could wrongfully believe they have the latest version on disk. This means they have to delete each file manually on their disk.
Yeah. So all these problems lead to confusion and frustration. So we made a list of key requirements for an ideal way of editing documents that reside in Share. From this list, we selected the 4 most important ones.
Number 1, it has to be user-friendly. The number of clicks the user has to do to edit the document has to be reduced. We don't want to confront the user with a complex editing workflow. On the contrary, it should be simple and easy to use.
And it has to support all file types, whether you're working with a CAD drawing, a Photoshop file, a spreadsheet, an image, or even a video. Editing a file should work the same way, regardless of the file type.
Indeed. Number 3, it should keep data central. The data should not be available locally for the user to avoid confusion. These ways, they are always editing the latest version of their files.
And finally, it needs to be fast and simple. Life is too short to waste a lot of time on tedious editing flows. We want to open the file directly from Share in the correct application. We want a simple way to edit.
Introducing my beer belly, but also Simple Edit version 1. As you can imagine, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a writer, or even an astronaut, with Simple Edit you can edit any document easily with your favorite editor. We are launching today, but right now let us show you some screenshots.
So we start our story in Alfresco Share. As you can see, we upload the photo of a moon landing, if you can see that. And in the list of actions, there's a new action called Simple Edit. Clicking this action will open this document in the default app for this type. In this case, Microsoft Paint.
Super cool. So by opening this file with Simple Edit, it is automatically checked out and locked in Alfresco. This way, no other user can change our file while we are editing it. Really cool. Now we can start editing in Paint. On the top of the screen, you can see the Simple Edit bar. Sadly, not a cocktail bar. Now that editing is finished, we can simply click the Done button. We don't have to go look for the file locally. No messing about with download files.
Okay. So clicking the Done button will check in a new version of the document into Alfresco. You will see a notification in the top right corner of your screen notifying you that the check-in has finished. Now we can close Paint and go on with other tasks without making silly jokes.
In the meantime, in Alfresco Share, we can see a new version has been uploaded of our file, 1.1. I think we experienced a fast and easy way to edit files, no?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Unfortunately, due to the Lightning Talk format, we could not demo or answer any questions. So if you have any questions or interested in buying Simple Edit, or just want some free M&Ms and talk to us, meet us in the Monarch Suite during the breaks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
That was impressive.
Hi, Wim Coetzee. I'm from First Coast in South Africa, and we developed a insurance workflow based on PDF forms. So the whole workflow works with PDF forms being submitted. They've got clients sending in documentation through WriteFax and email. Our process will convert that to PDF files, get it indexed, and start the workflow on that. During the workflow, there's multiple stages, as you can see, and then in these multiple stages, there's few exit points, possibly rejections or acceptance, and we're capturing all of the data from the form fields. So, and the endpoint of the workflows is automated letter generation, and there's no paper involved in the whole process. Okay, so the problems they were experiencing is that they were working with unsynchronized spreadsheets, no centralized management of the claims, no monitoring of the agents, and no control over the decision-making process. So we've provided them with some solutions to that. Technically, we're pre-populating PDF forms using background data. The system offers live reporting, standardizing on the incoming faxes and emails down to PDF, and one form can spawn multiple different decisions or different routes to be taken. The forms are automatically pre-populated during the process, so there's a few different forms during the process, and you can use standard programs such as Adobe Reader to submit it. So as you can see, this is just a video that shows the user entering the data into the forms, and decisions are being made in the Alfresco environment based on the selections that you've made in the PDF forms. We've developed a custom service for Alfresco so the submit button on all of these forms will process it and lay down the data into reporting tables too. Okay, and the reporting is real time, so it links and it combines data from the reporting tables, from the actual PDF files, and you can click through directly from the reporting into the repository to view your files, and there's some samples of the output report. All the agents have access to different statuses in the reports all the time, as you can see there. Then, it's running the video a few times. So the process also allows for multiple accounts and multiple products on each account, so they can advance at different speeds, and you can make one product be approved and the others declined or pending based on the decisions in the form. The import process is a customized program that converts the emails to PDFs and standardizes it to a folder structure, forcing the users to index each and every page that's coming in through the various channels, which is very important for them, so they know that they're not missing out on any pages from multi-page faxes or attachments from emails. We're normalizing all of that, and the user can't actually use the object unless it's been properly indexed, and as you can see there, it gets named based on the index information to make it easy to identify documents in the repository. So, as I said, one PDF form could cater for multiple accounts and start multiple workflows based on what the agent has entered and has found on the CRM systems when an insurance claim gets processed. So that's 2 separate accounts with different types of products. And then you can have multiple decisions being made or redirected to other agents if there's any queries on specific products. The endpoint of the workflow is that there's automated claim letters, so that's done technically with a bunch of HTML templates, mail merge functionality that we built ourselves, and it ends up with various combinations for the different brands and so on. So, and that all of the content of the letters are based on what was captured in the PDF forms and the decisions having been made by the agent. Okay, and then it's just your endpoint being a letter that's ready to be sent off, and you don't ever need to use any piece of paper during this whole process. Everything is digital, and you end up with a PDF file that can be emailed or sent out through your post room. And there's some links in the presentation that you can follow. Thanks.
You want to put that in your pocket? Yep. I'll do this.
Hi guys, I'm not going to take my shirt off, I promise. I'm Fran Alvarez, Head of Engineering in Coetzee. I'm going to talk about a different angle of using Alfresco as an open data repository. This is the agenda we are going to follow. Okay. So you know, nowadays content is knowledge, and there are more and more devices that are using this knowledge, not only people. Okay. So we are seeing a progress in how many devices are using the content. For now, we know that, for example, for Gartner studies, we know that Internet of Things will grow up to 26 billion units by 2020. That means that the content needs to be open and accessible by both machines and humans, so both needs to understand the language. This is the open linked data graph that allows to enable data from different sources, allow to merge different information from different places. And this is another concept, it's called open data, which is the idea that certain data should be freely available to everyone to use and reproduce as they wish without no restrictions. And we know that, for example, the UK government is using and exposing the data to everyone. It's a bit different, open data from linked data. Open data is more the idea, the concepts, and linked data are a set of best practices and a protocol plus a language. We know that there are some use cases where we can use both together, which is the OAI-PMH protocol. It's a protocol for Open Archive initiative for metadata harvesting, so it allows to collect metadata from different repositories and enable them and populate them so harvester can collect it. In the end, you have some federated search across this repository. Again, it's based on a language and it's based on a protocol. The language is Dublin Core. It's an ontology, very simple to describe physical and web resources. It's formatted by 15 metadata. It's very straightforward. You can see that the metadata fields. For the protocol, it's even simpler because it's based on 6 verbs of operation that allows you to extract information from the records of the repository. Okay, so here it comes that Alfresco is a content provider. Okay, so this content, some of business cases can be subject to be shared open to the world. For example, bibliographic or scientific documents should be open to the world, could be open to the world. We met a customer a couple of years ago. They wanted to open their data public because we were working with scientific documentation, so they were using Alfresco, so we built a module on top of Alfresco leveraging the extension capabilities. It's very simple because we only provide an Alfresco AMP to consume this information with a given format and a given language. You can see the architecture there. Essentially, users will access Alfresco for querying the documents. Computers will access the documents from the shape of the OAI-PMH data. Because the customer didn't have very clear what metadata was going to use, we provided a very configurable, very flexible module that allows to map every Dublin Core property with any Alfresco metadata. As you can see, it can be mapped in the Alfresco global property files. You can change it anytime you want. I will show you a couple of requests and to see how it works. So this is, for example, how to identify an OAI-PMH repository. It provides some metadata, some basic information about how to query it. And then, for example, we have another operation that gives you all the identifiers that belong to this metadata repository. This is only an example because it can be very long. Of course, it provides paging as well. And the more example or the more sophisticated service is the one that provides you information about one record. I don't know if it's so small, but every metadata, every Dublin Core field is mapped with an Alfresco property, and the identifier field gives you access to the Alfresco document itself. And you can see that the identifier is the node ref of Alfresco. And that's it. You know, it's too much to tell in 5 minutes, but if you see the following slide, you may see some useful information and some useful links that you can use. And thank you very much.
So my name is Bramley. I'm the Chief Scientific Officer at ICSIS. And can I start by asking who went on the tube or the London Underground to get to the summit at some point? Okay, so most people, you're all familiar, therefore, with the circuit-style London Underground map, which is very iconic and was introduced by Harry Beck in 1931. However, it's also copyrighted, so I've taken a 1908 version, which quite clearly shows the different railway companies that used to operate the London Underground lines. Now, it's different sets of networks, and some of them were shallow lines, so they were cut and covered. They dug a trench, and the one on the left is kind of a shallow line train, and the one on the right is from the bored circular tunnels that gives the tube its name. And obviously, being different networks, there's different traffic flowing, so they need to use signals to control how that traffic flows. And also, this is kind of analogous to where you can operate zones within networks. Or to draw it in a slightly different way, we'll end up with a fairly typical corporate structure of different network zones, giving a DMZ for internet traffic, VPN traffic potentially grouped in with a WAN, and it's all grouped separately. And that's quite important when we consider distributed topologies. Now, to make it a bit more fun, I'm going to play a game which is based on Mornington Crescent game from the BBC Radio 4 panel show, I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue. And the idea is that you talk about different places on the tube and end up at Mornington Crescent. And I'm going to start with a central line progression. So the red line is the central line, and we're starting with community, and we can think of it liken this to Marble Arch. There's a nice monument at the corner of Hyde Park, but this station is a single station, there's no interchange, it's a single unit, you can't offload any work from the server. When you get to departmental, we can progress along the central line to Bond Street, and here we've got an interchange to the Jubilee line, although not with the current works they're doing. And we can liken that to ATS, so we can offload transformations down the Jubilee line to Green Park. And then when you get to Enterprise, we can start to have more than one repository node. So Bond Street and Oxford Circus, and we can offload share, and colour seems to have gone a bit funny, up the Bakerloo line to Regent's Park. And we've also got the ability to have index servers, or shown in a slightly different way with load balancers omitted for clarity. You know, this kind of pattern is quite common for the central repository. But then you start to wonder how we push out that content elsewhere. So we can start with the file system transfer. So again, the colours are slightly funny. Tower Hill, which is a tube station, has an interchange to Tower Gateway for the Docklands Light Railway. So take your content files in Alfresco, push it out to the file system. The next part of the transfer subsystem is the Alfresco transfer receiver. So we can take it at mile end, we've got our clustered repository, and we can push it out to another repository over on the central line again. The next kind of layer on top of the transfer service is the replication service. So here we've got Finsbury Park, and we can take content between two different Alfresco repositories backwards and forwards. Just don't say that tube station name backwards. That's a kind of an insider London joke. When we get to Alfresco in the cloud, Zone 9, we're outside the firewall, a long way outside the firewall. So we're at the end of the Metropolitan line, which is Amersham, out in Cloud 9. And we can then traverse back with the hybrid model, so we can sync to on-premise all the way down the Metropolitan line through the multiple layers of the cloud inside Ixus's firewall at our headquarters near Aldgate. Beyond that, we then start to look at different options. So you may federate, and we can liken this to Paddington Station, where you've got a multitude of different underground lines, but also the mainline railway station. But with federation comes a number of challenges. So how do you discover the content? So OpenSearch was one way that you could use, and it was exposed in Alfresco Explorer back in 2. And OpenSearch is part of the foundation of some of the CMIS querying. And if you want to know more about that, you can dig out the slides from DevCon presentation I did 3 years ago. But workflows are a big challenge with federation. You know, how do you hand off in-flight workflows between geographically distributed divisions? Now, one of the things that was shown in the keynote is the digital productivity stack. And if you see down the bottom, the idea is that there are these core content and control services running in the cloud, and they can federate over cloud repo as well as multiple on-premise repositories. And then lastly, you get to really complicated global infrastructure. So here you've got multiple hub sites, such as Ealing Broadway at the end of the central line, but also you have satellite sites such as Morden. And Morden's on the black line, which is the northern line, and that leads to Mornington Crescent, and that's the end of the game. Thank you.
Test. Okay. Well, I will start already. So I'm not just nervous, I'm also really happy to be here because it's really a pleasure to talk about the topic that I'm going to present, which is the order of the bee. It's something that we created very recently. And I'm going to explain you why we are so motivated about it, why we created it, and maybe you would like to join, maybe you would like to contribute some other way. And well, my name is Boriss Mejías. I'm co-founder and board member of the order. And actually everything started last year when Jeff Bott gave his community keynote. And he was explaining that Alfresco was like a company working with honey. So he was the beekeeper, making sure that the bees are going to get enough things from the company, and the companies are going to get also the benefit from working together with the bees. And we really believe on this analogy. We think it's a really good way of thinking about open source software where both can benefit and we can both work together. Because of this, we see the role of the beekeeper, which is now being played by Richard Esplin, as our interface to the community. And the community needs somehow to be a little bit more organized. So this is why we created the Order of the Bee, because we want to gather all this effort of the community to make it a better community for everybody. And when we talk about community, it's not just the people, it's also the software. So we say the Alfresco Community Edition and also the people. And the people can be regardless of whether you are enterprise user or cloud user, the people that use Alfresco, regardless the software edition. Now, and who are the bees? So we have currently more than 70 members. Most of them are independent. We also have Alfresco partners and also some Alfresco engineers. All of them really care about the community and really want to work together. To organize all this effort, we have currently 5 different committees. Some of them are targeting goals and tasks for people, and some others for the software, but everything is fundamentally interconnected. Now, on top of that, we have the board members. When Jeff left Alfresco, we tell him, oh, look, we have this organization, would you like to join us? And he's now a member of the board. And he's not, of course, the only one who has joined. So who can join the organization? Everybody who wants to contribute to the community, it doesn't matter if you haven't contributed yet, but you want to start contributing now, you can do it. And it can be by developing software, but it can also be like translating software or organizing meetups, posting blog posts about Alfresco. There are different ways to contribute. So I'm talking about community, contribution, blah, blah, blah. So what is the contribution of the Order of the Bee? Well, the Order is very young, but the bees are being around for a while. And I'm going to show you some example of what we have achieved as a bees for the community. So if you look at the Alfresco Maven SDK, the core team, you will find 3 members of the Order, Ole, Bindu, and Mind the Gap, Columbro. And these are people who work for the community and also provide something very good for all Alfresco software edition. Now, you saw in the morning that there was a new PDF viewer that's based on also the work of some other member of the community, Peter Lofgren. So it's a contribution that not only for the community software, but also to the enterprise. If your language is not supported officially by Alfresco, there are around 30 packages that are supported by the community, and this is the effort of Oksana, Richard, and Gloria, also members of the Order of the Bee. So we are doing nice stuff. And you saw that there were some new auditing analytics reporting tools show this morning. There has been already 1 year that we have R from our Francesco Corti, also another member from the Order. So there are nice contribution, a lot of add-ons, a lot of tools. But we need to somehow put like more testing on them. And so we have a team which is in charge of doing a selection of add-ons that we think that are good for the community and then putting a stamp like, oh, this is supported by the Order of the Bee, because it matches some good things. And not only that, we also have a distribution plan. So look at the picture. If you don't know, that's a honey dipper. So it's not a fork, because it's based on the Alfresco Community Edition plus some special add-ons that we have there. So that's software. But what about knowledge? What about sharing knowledge? 27 talks here in London in the summit are given by members of the Order of the Bee. So imagine the summit without its community. That's like 30% of the presentations. Now, if you want to know more, you can meet us. We are also wearing beautiful t-shirts, designed in Russia, made in China, printed in the UK. And you can also join us in the pub tomorrow at 7. And you can talk with us. But remember that we are not a fan club. We are not like saying, oh, Alfresco does everything well, and then it has a smartphone that you put it on your pocket and it bends, and you say, what a wonderful creation to have a curved screen. No. So we really believe in the community and the contributions of the community. We are not just consumers. And we love the fact that we can change things. Okay, that's why we created the Order of the Bee, because we believe that the Alfresco community matters. That's it. Thank you very much.
So I just want to say I totally approve. That's a great message. But I also approve of all the other lightning talks. You all did an excellent job. You could tell the preparation that went into them. not only is it a challenge to present such a constrained discussion and a useful discussion, but to do it in a language that's not your native one, or to do it in a place far from home, I'm very impressed. I appreciate all your participation, and look forward to seeing you. We've got 2 more sessions of lightning talks tomorrow, so see you then.